Someone went and let the Rebs get hot on the recruiting trail. Who's next for Lane Kiffin? We'll talk about this. The Locked On Ole Miss podcast.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, the most watched Ole Miss podcast around. I am your host, Steven Willis, a 10-year veteran member of the national media with Yahoo Sports and a former Ole Miss staff member. On today's show, we talk about the Big Ten finally discussing their preferred 4-4-2-2-1-3 format, and Joel Klatt had an interesting take on that. But before we get there, we look at the top 5 most important tight ends for Ole Miss in 2025. The numbers made that a bit of a challenge. But we start the show by breaking down the recruiting heater that Ole Miss football has been on after landing back-to-back top 150 level players in the last 2 days. But what if I told you they aren't likely done yet? Predictions are starting to roll in, and the good guys are benefiting big time. We're free and available on all the podcast apps and on YouTube. Thanks for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen every day, and a special hello to our everydayers who make this show what it is. Do us a favor, like, subscribe, and comment to this video. It costs nothing, but it helps keep this show free. And don't forget to check out a second listen on the network. Nearly every team, college or pro, is ready for you. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Ole Miss football right now is on a major league heater in recruiting after top 150 players that have committed over the last 2 days. There was Landon Barnes at first, the rush in out of Duncanville in Texas. That is big on many, many categories, but he is a guy that is an elite pass rusher. You pair him with Isaiah Williams, and all of a sudden it looks really good for the pass rush in this defense moving forward. Well, and yesterday they got a commitment from J.C. Anderson, who is a top 150 tight end out of Illinois that committed to the Ole Miss Rebels and Lane Kiffin. They have been on an elite type heater. They're up to about number 17 in the Rivals recruiting rankings, and that is important to know because they're not likely done yet. The question that we have going into this is who is next, and the 2 most likely candidates is Iverson, McCoy, and Xavier McDonald. Xavier McDonald is the first of the 4-star Mississippi wide receivers that Ole Miss could potentially close on. We talked about Jace Matthews a little bit as well, and Ole Miss is going to be in that one until the very end. But let's start talking about the players at hand. Xavier McDonald out of Morton, Mississippi. He is a little bit undersized. He is 6'3". He is about 160 pounds, but that doesn't stop him from being very good. Whenever we had, I think it was Mike Espy on the show, he talked about Shea Hodge talking, this guy has a chance to be the best football player to ever graduate from Morton High School. Let's think about that statement for a second. That's not just saying that this guy is going to be better than me. Deuce McAllister also went to Morton High School. So if he is the greatest football player to ever graduate from Morton High School, Xavier McDonald is quite a catch. And this is him in his Under Armour All-American jersey that you can see on the screen right now, a consensus 4-star in just about every service. You look, he's ranked number 230 on 3. He's ranked number 100 on 247, ranked number 58 on ESPN, and ranked number 168 on Rivals, a consensus 4-star that comes in at about 114 overall. 4-star player, really good athlete. Probably needs to go to a training table and put on some weight. If we're just going to be honest about that, he needs a little bit of weight in the training table. He commits on July 4th, if you go by what Billy Embody of the Ole Miss Spirit put out. July 4th. Now, I am not likely going to do an instant commit reaction video on July 4th because I will be out of town that day. I'll likely be on the road. But if Xavier McDonald commits to Ole Miss in that day, Ole Miss fans should be very excited about where this is going. He is a wide receiver that is, I guess, explosive is the best way to describe him. He is somebody that they throw screens to. He beats a man one-on-one, gets down the field. At all points in the offense, this guy is a difference maker. Xavier McDonald is somebody that you can throw in a bubble screen or a tunnel screen, and his speed and his athleticism have the ability to get the corners against just about every defense. Now, he went to Morton High School. It's not the largest classification, just to put that into perspective. They play against Raymond and Northeast Jones and that level of football. But that doesn't change the fact that Under Armour thought well enough about him to invite him down as a junior to participate in the Under Armour All-American game. He is a really good player that everybody is really high on. And because of that, he has a chance to be really good as well. The next player that we want to talk about, not necessarily because of the rankings, but because of where he goes to high school, is Iverson McCoy. He's a former Mississippi State commitment. He is a 3-star on all the services. He's not going to wow you with stars. He's 5'11". He is 175 pounds. He's just a good football player. Over the last couple of years, Tupelo, who won the state championship at the highest classification in Mississippi, they became known as a little bit of a defensive juggernaut over the last couple of years. And that is because of players like Iverson McCoy just being dogs on the back end. He is somebody that makes you work. He will compete every single snap. And he is somebody that makes your defense better, not necessarily on the top end talent level, but on just the scrappiness and fighting level. Iverson McCoy was committed to Mississippi State. He came on an official visit to Ole Miss, and they were excited about him. Pete Golden and Lane Kiffin, they've recruited Iverson McCoy for a while, and they wanted to get him. Once they got him on campus, the worms started to turn. He decommitted from Mississippi State. He is now open, and he is going to commit on July 3rd, if you believe Billy Embody on that one as well. So these are the two most likely commits for Ole Miss going into this weekend. This was obviously a planned type deal. This is obviously something they meant to do, to where Landon Barnes and J.C. Anderson committed on Monday and Tuesday. Somebody could pop on today's time frame, but we have the show on July 3rd. And July 4th, that's Thursday and Friday, for Iverson McCoy and Xavier McDonald, both of which have been, RPM'd. I guess that's the correct term. Chad Simmons put both of them going to Ole Miss as well. So another national analyst that are willing to put their name on what's going on. This heater that Ole Miss is on isn't likely going to slow down, because we talked about earlier in the week who Steve Wiltfong predicted to Ole Miss, and Jet Goldsberry out of Indiana. He also, the wide receiver out of Indiana, Guilford, predicted him as well. 4 stars, both of them. And also the Deuce Geralds is eventually going to come up. The players inside the state of Mississippi from Ole Miss to land potentially will heat up. And when you look at the Matt Luke years and the Hugh Freeze years, honestly, and the Billy Brewer years and the Ed Orgeron years, 7 to 8 4-star recruits, that was kind of the good benchmark time. The good benchmark is 7 or 8 recruits at 4-star level. There's a chance after this week and after these recruitments go through that Ole Miss is already above them. They're currently 17th. They're probably going to get up to 14th if they land both of these recruits. They only have 13 players committed. Their average recruit level is through the roof at the moment, and they get to go big game hunting with Jace Matthews, with Tristan Keys, with Deuce Geralds. Ole Miss has a chance to make noise on that front. Listen, Ole Miss might not give us a depth chart, but we're putting one together ourselves. Up next, the top 5 most important tight ends to the Rebels this season. You won't want to miss that. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings, planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control of your finances. Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. It's a full, complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth at the same time. Once I got Monarch, I immediately saw how much I was eating out and was able to take a step of cutting back after seeing the damage that was being done by that. That's what Monarch Money can do for you. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off of your first year. So we're continuing in our top 5 list, and I was going back and forth of whether or not I needed to put tight ends with the wide receivers or that. But I decided to give them their own category. Now, numerically, a top 5 is a challenge. So one of the players that is going to show up on the list is not listed as a tight end at all. But I will explain why I put him there as well. Ole Miss has some stars that can line up at the tight end position, and Ole Miss recruited, again, thoughtfully into the season with Luke Hasz, with Trace Bruckler, in an attempt to make this tight end room a little bit more robust. But it starts with Dae'quan Wright. Dae'quan Wright had an excellent season last year, and by the end of the year, he had completely supplanted Caden Priestcorn and was making plays offensively in the pass catch game. In the Gator Bowl, Dae'quan Wright absolutely showed out. Big catch after big catch after big catch, and was just a monster in the middle of the field. You know how I feel about tight ends and the middle of the field. Dae'quan Wright did a lot of stuff very well in that. And Dae'quan came on the program last summer and talked about what he wanted to do. He's currently doing it. He is becoming an elite top half of the NFL draft tight end, in my opinion. He is somebody that has a chance to put up 60 catches this season. Dae'quan Wright has a chance to be a real weapon for Austin Simmons. Now, Ole Miss isn't done there because they said, hey, let's go get another elite tight end. Ole Miss went up to Arkansas and got Luke Hasz to transfer to Ole Miss. He is somebody that was a little bit of a pass catching machine 2 years ago. Last year went down a little bit, but that was because Bobby Petrino and the quarterback stylistically and what they wanted to do. Luke Hasz is somebody that has the potential to catch 50 or 60 balls if he gets the time playing. If Ole Miss does 12 personnel, which anybody that's listened to my show for 15 minutes knows how much I love 12 personnel, Luke Hasz and Dae'quan Wright could be a weapon on the field at the same time. Both can line up outside. Both can line up inside. These are two of the most perfect candidates to play tight end for Ole Miss. They are more tight ends than wide receivers, but Ole Miss will split both of them out, and they can do that fairly well as well. Number 3, I'm putting on Caleb Odom, who's listed as a wide receiver, and he's going to be likely in the wide receiver list that we do tomorrow. Caleb Odom is a very important player for Ole Miss in 2025. So much that 2 position groups he can be an important player for. And the reason he's on this list is because of what he is going to be asked to do likely in the red zone and what he is going to be asked to do in the middle of the field. Caleb Odom is somebody that was a 5-star coming out of high school in Georgia. I think Juju Smith, the quarterback that went to Colorado, Caleb Odom basically got that guy a full ride. Caleb Odom is a monster. He's 6'5", 6'6", 230 pounds. He has the body of Evan Ingram right now. And I think that Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss Jr. and Joe Judge is going to use him in a similar way to Evan Ingram. He's going to be listed as a wide receiver, but he has the body and he has the skill set to do some of the things that a tight end does and do them honestly pretty well, if we're going to be real about that. Number 4 on the list is Trace Bruckler, the transfer tight end from New Mexico. He is somebody that is going to be an inline tight end specialist, in my opinion. He is going to be the goal line tight end. He might not play that much, but if Ole Miss gets into 13 personnel, you could see Trace Bruckler on the field for a specific task. I think Trace Bruckler has the ability to play this year. I do not know that he will, if you can see that he's 4th on this list, but he has that ability and makes the tight end room better. He can do a lot of that stuff. He caught touchdown passes at New Mexico State, opened up the run game. Bronco Mendenhall, at the coach of New Mexico, ran an offense that was very quarterback run heavy. So a lot of what Trace Bruckler did was get him free as a runner. As a pass catcher, sometimes they deceived the defense and he was able to get open as well. But I think Trace Bruckler will be the 4th most important tight end this season. The last tight end that we have is Hayden Bradley, the tight end out of Buford, Georgia, one of the powerhouse programs in the entire country. They put people in colleges each and every single year. Ole Miss getting in Buford was important. Now, because of that, I think Hayden Bradley has a role to play, not necessarily on this season, but he has a role to play on this team. There are players from Buford that Ole Miss is trying to recruit for the 2026 cycle and below. A lot of the same stuff that we talk about Tupelo, Buford can go into there. Duncanville is in there. You want to have a presence at those schools. We'll see if Hayden Bradley kind of develops to where he plays pretty early. But if you look at Dae'quan Wright and Luke Hasz, those are going to be the 2 primaries. So Hayden Bradley is probably going to have to be a special teams monster over the course of this first year. Something that I'm very excited about to see exactly what he does. I like that Ole Miss is in Buford, and the players that are coming out of Buford, Georgia, Ole Miss has kind of an in for what they can be moving forward. So those are the top 5 tight ends on the roster for Ole Miss going into the 2025 season. In our final segment, the Big Ten finally stepped forward with their preferred playoff model. Ironically, it's mine as well. Plus, Joel Klatt had a really interesting idea about how to add to that playoff model. That is all next on the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. All right, so Tony Petitti, the commissioner of the Big Ten, went on the Joel Klatt show, which that's expected. Fox is the major right holders of the Big Ten Conference, so anytime Petitti wants to talk, that would be their mouthpiece of choice. Don't expect them to go on ESPN because they are not an ESPN conference. But we had Chris Childers on the show. We had Jake Crane on the show. We've had national analysts talking pretty consistently about the playoff model. And everybody knows that my preferred model is the 4-4-2-2-1-3. That's 4 automatic qualifiers for the SEC and the Big Ten, 2 for the Big 12 and the ACC, 1 for the G5, and 3 at-large berths. I think that is the perfect model. It takes it out of the committee's hands and gives the conferences the ability to put forth their teams into the playoffs, however they decide to do that. The play-in model on Championship Saturday is far superior. The non-conference games not counting against you, far superior than the 5 5-11 model that everybody is talking about. The 5-11 model, for anybody that's just tuning in for the first time, the conference champions all get an automatic qualifier, and then there's 11 at-large berths. The SEC is going to absolutely dominate that model. There's going to be 5, 6, 7 SEC teams in that model if it goes through. I think it's bad ultimately for college football, and it's bad for the fan. It makes everything playoff centric. Everybody is only going to care about the playoffs if that model moves forward. The Big Ten's model, everybody is going to be completely bought in. There's going to be better non-conference matchups. There's going to be playing games. More teams are going to have a chance at the college football playoff on championship Saturday, 6 of them to be exact. And I think that's just a better way to go, to where an Ole Miss plays Florida at the end of the year. That game will mean everything, because Ole Miss at that point is likely still going to be in the playoff conversation. It's going to make the regular season matter more. It's going to make the regular season feel like it used to. College football has always had a wonky playoff system or bowl system. Heck, Georgia Tech and Nebraska or whoever, Georgia Tech and Washington, split the national championship one year. Michigan split the national championship one year, I think, with Nebraska. College football's playoff system and the way they have given their champion has never been normal. So the Big Ten suggesting this 4-4-2-2-1-1, it makes all the sense in the world. But Joel Klatt, from the Joel Klatt show, had an idea that might make it a little bit better. I told you what they were planning with playing games. Well, in this interview, Joel Klatt brings up a proposed format of the 4-4, 2.5, 2.5, 1, 2 model. One of the at-large berths would go away, and the Big 12 and the ACC third-place team would play a game on championship Saturday for the right to move in to the college football playoff. Listen, these numbers, these 4-4, 2, 1, 3, whatever it is, those are all subject to change. Make it be like the Champions League, where there's a coefficient to where you can gain and lose spots based on the field competition goals. Make it about competition. Control those automatic spots, but take the job of selecting the college football playoff out of a corrupt committee's hands. They proved a year ago, whenever they did not allow strength of schedule to matter at all, and where Indiana was unlocked to get in just simply because they were 11-1 or 10-2 over a 9-3 SEC team that played 5 games against the college football playoff teams. The committee is corrupt. The people at the top of the committee, they get a bonus amount from their school by getting their teams into the playoffs, by getting their conference into the playoffs. It will never not be corrupt because of the money that's involved. So let's take it out of their hands. Make them just pick those 3 at-large places. That's all they have to do. The rest of them is down to the conferences. After the 1 and 2 team plays in the conference championship, those are both in the college football playoff, and they would always be in the college football playoff if you were in the SEC or the Big Ten, or honestly the ACC or the Big 12. Where it gets interesting, 3 plays number 6, 4 plays number 5. The winner of those games takes the SEC and Big Ten's conference spots. When you look at that game, I'm telling you, championship Saturday for the right to get into the college football playoff would be immaculately good. Add in the Joel Klatt so the Big 12 and the ACC can get in on the fun as well, to where you have the conference championship game of both of those teams that are playing in the championship game getting into there. Or they could do something to where one is automatically in, and the championship game turns into a 2 versus 3 play-in game to where you do that. But if it's 2.5, you're playing for the conference championship. That game means something. And you're also playing against the ACC third place team for conference superiority between the Big 12 and the ACC. The G5 conference champion, they probably do not belong to be in there to begin with, but there's not a lot you can do about that. The at-larges is where you have a little bit of wiggle room, but Notre Dame, if they finish in the top 16, they're going to be there anyway. So Joel Klatt adding this wrinkle to this good idea that the Big Ten has, and everybody likes to politically do this, Democrat and Republican, to where whatever the SEC says, I'm going to be against, or whatever the Big Ten says, I'm going to be against. But this is a situation to where an SEC person is looking at a suggestion by the Big Ten and thinking they are absolutely correct. But that's a very interesting idea that Joel Klatt came up with, the Big 12 and the SEC actually playing a game on Championship Saturday. Thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your go-to source for Ole Miss sports. We pride ourselves on offering the most comprehensive perspectives. That is why we're the front door of Ole Miss. Do not forget to subscribe, like, and comment on the show. It is totally free, and that helps keep it that way. Your support means the world to us. For your second listen, check out the Portal Show. Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the fan that knows the most about the rapid changes in college football landscape. Find the Portal on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. Hotty toddy, everyone, and remember, analytics is just the old English word that means bad football. We'll see you tomorrow.